I mean,
Yeah, we haven't interviewed since then, have we? No, more than welcome to. You have more people want to know that than yeah.
we should. I mean, that's.
You're up.
Well, welcome. This is Hamilton County Newsmakers. I'm Perry Williams, and I have along today one of my favorite interviews, Dr. Dave Mundy, who is the superintendent of Sheridan Public Schools. Welcome.
Good to see you again, bud.
Good seeing you. First of all, while we get started here, I know you had a little bit of a health scare, I would say. How is Dr. Mundy feeling?
Well, I'm doing great. Actually, you go back to, you're right, I haven't seen you since all that went down. I think that was here right before everything happened. I've been really feeling well. And I'll tell you, everybody, and I've told everybody, I've been humbled by the fact that I had 4 different school systems, 4 different areas that all reached out to me. And I've been more proud about the fact, those Mundy Strong shirts that people made have showed up in the various news articles. I thought the coolest one ever is when Heights went out of their way to go up and help Kokomo, and 2 of the kids were wearing their orange shirts up there. That was something that meant a lot to me, the way those shirts went. But I'm doing much better. I'm 1 year out from November 10th is where I was at. Ran my first marathon back November 5th, a couple weeks ago, did the Monumental, and feeling different. It's going to be a life-changing event, but honestly, with all the support I got, I've made it through and doing great. So thank you.
Makes you have life a little bit different perspective, doesn't it?
It really does. It's changed the fact, I've always told you I have the greatest job in the world, and I appreciate the job I do, but it really brings a lot more light to that job every day I drive there. It's a little bit more fun hanging out. I enjoy even the meetings a little bit more. I enjoy my morning runs better. It's added a lot of perspective in a lot of things I got done. But, yeah, all with diagnosis clear, 1 month checkups for the next 4 years, and I'll be good to go. So
that sounds great.
Thank you.
Sounds great.
Well, thank you.
Now, this is a little law in your schedule in your own personal family life because no soccer right now.
Basketball started this week, though. Yeah,
okay.
As they do anymore, and you understand why a lot of the people don't coach anymore. There's no breaks. Soccer season ended, and now for the daughter, basketball season started yesterday. The open gyms and everything. So we're in a little bit of a law. Even soccer, all right? I think you want to talk about how that interferes with. I know that all of us in the county keep talking about how hard it is to get coaches and retain coaches, especially at your middle school and your JV levels. The reality of it is, even those jobs go all year long anymore, and I don't blame our young coaches that come in and give us 3 or 4 years and realize, hey, at some point, I'd like to have a wife, I'd like to have a husband, I'd like to have a family, and I don't want to do middle school basketball, 12 months out of the year. I think that's why you're seeing such turnover. We're blessed in this county with all the great varsity coaches we have that stick around and do stuff in all our sports. But I think we were meeting the other day as a superintendent's group and talking about how the changeover in coaching at the younger level, it's hard on a person to come in and get paid $2,000 to run a team that basically get asked to do stuff about 9 months out of the year. So, but yeah, we're in that law, getting ready for basketball season. At least we're going inside. Oh, it's white and nice out still, but we are going inside. So.
Yeah, that's true. Well, since we haven't talked for a while, you had a very successful football season. Not like you wanted because you're not going to go to Lucas Oil, but a good season, and Bud Wright got the big 400. So
Bud Wright got the 400. I know we've got a lot of young kids coming back. We had a lot of hidden seniors this year too that were very good for us. The football team did quite well. I think we did even a little better than what we anticipated going into the year. Ran into a buzzsaw out there at Fountain Central. That's a great program we've competed with in the past. But we have a lot of talent coming up. I think Bud's pretty excited for the next couple of years. I'm anticipating him being back the next couple of years. I know that's probably a question that's coming up at some point too. Yes, I'm planning on Bud being there until he tells me he doesn't want to be there. But you take that. Actually, our whole fall seasons, all of them. Soccer did very, very well. The girls barely lost the Heights, and the sectionals did great. Boys competed all year long, and the volleyball has come a long, long way. And I thought they were very competitive this season. So I was pretty happy with all our fall seasons.
The one thing about it, I'm very blessed to have this job here and deal with a lot of athletic coaches and everything of like you were talking, and the coaches coming here on a Monday night and getting to talk to them and getting to talk to people like to Bud Wright, and right before, as we put together some stuff for Bud on his 400th.
Right,
And
right.
so I go over and see Bud at Sheridan, okay, and he comes up to meet me, and he goes, he said, "Can you hang on just a minute? I got to switch the clothes out of the washer into the dryer."
Yeah.
Okay, so even Bud's got to wash the uniforms. Okay,
You want to keep them humble that way.
That's right. That's right. So
on that too, when you guys did, what impressed me more about that next day in your paper, when everybody had the articles and the congratulation articles and pictures in there, it was the other people outside of Sheridan that reached out. Seeing Mark Airbrand on there, seeing Hamilton Heights reach out and do that, seeing some people from here in Noblesville. I mean, it puts perspective how much he's impacted so many other communities besides just all he's done for Sheridan. He's impacted everybody. And I think I even sent you guys an email, or I tweeted it out that day, how impressed I was getting the other stuff from the other schools that were put out there. That took
absolutely,
their time to do
absolutely, because it was a big deal, and we wanted it to be a big deal. And,
it was.
And even here on that Monday night, we had him a cake here, okay?
We had to force him to celebrate a little bit.
Yeah. But the one thing about Bud, we know, Bud always wants to go last in the show, okay? And if there's any pizza left, he eats it on the way home, he says. And then,
of course, he took that too.
He took that last. He took that cake with him too. So it was a pretty good night for.
You got to remember, he was one of my first mentors. He taught me all of this stuff. I've learned all those tricks of the trade. He's taught me over time.
You've had some good mentors.
I've been very blessed. Yes, between Danny and Bud and all the other actually in school administrators, that I've had too, and principals and leaders. I mean. As I said, I was speaking one day with the other superintendents and from Dr. Robinson out there at Zionsville, too. I think they've all been my boss at one point or another. So I've been able to learn from a lot of those people around the area.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Sheridan. I think one of the things this fall that you got a lot of notoriety and publicity on was your solar panels up at Sheridan Schools. So let's talk a little bit about that and what kind of impact that's going to be on a small school like yours that have a pretty tough time budget wise.
Right. I think what most people don't realize is that outside of paying for personnel, the toughest area we have to pay for is utilities. And it's not because everybody knows you have to pay for utilities. It's you never know the ebb and flow of how much they're going to cost. So it's the one part of a school budget that you can't put a number down and know it's going to stay to that number. Some years you get lucky and it's under and you save a little bit. Let's face it, most years you don't. We actually got very lucky when this whole project started. We were meeting with a gentleman who then talked to us about, hey, have you ever considered going to solar? Robin Popejoy, our financial officer, and I actually did some research on it thinking, all right, sounds good. We'll see how it goes. But then we ran a few numbers and looked into it and thought, hey, this got some real potential. And that's when we actually put some numbers to paper and realized the amount of savings and what it does for a school corps. There's a couple myths about solar. And first of all, the project's gone great. What we saw coming up was Duke, to no fault of Duke, because Duke has been a great partner to us in all of this. Duke has had some federal regulations put on it where they have to do some upgrades, and rightfully so. We knew that meant increases quickly coming in utilities. What we get out of having solar out there is our utility bill is now locked into the rate we're at for the next 20 years. I will pay that exact same utility bill and a little bit of a fee above that for 20 years. The myth that everybody thinks is, you make excess solar and you sell that, and schools aren't allowed to do that. That's illegal. Our whole goal is basically to break even, too, by the way, between sunny days and non-sunny days, and we get credits from Duke is the way that works. And over the course of, when you start watching it all, over the course about 20 years, your non-sunny to sunny days will be about even. Like this year's been great, obviously.
You got good sunny days.
It's been a great year to start. What it ends up doing for us, though, we're locked into that amount, which saves us. We've already shown that this year alone, because Duke, right afterwards, to no fault of theirs again, had to go up 1%, we've already saved $30,000 just going out to the end of this year. Now, what that does, though, and the other myth that I'm battling a little bit, is that does not help me with teacher salaries or individuals. What that does, though, about 3 years ago when we did, and I think you were at some of them, we did the SMART meetings. Had the community come in and tell us all the stuff they want done. We've been able to, through some financing and everything else, complete about 80% of that list. What this will really allow us to do is focus on getting the rest of what the community finished or wanted finished upgraded over the next couple of years. You know, that goes all the way from our flower beds all the way up to the lighting, you know, across the district. So it will help us with that tremendously. But honestly, and now what's happened too is we just happen to be the first one that jumped into the game, and the first, you know, we are very proud to say we're the first all-district solar-powered, you know, I'm an all-solar-powered district in the state of Indiana. Since that time, we have met with 2 schools a week, you know, that have shown up asking questions about it, because what they realize is it locks in your amount. It's very minimal above and beyond that amount to pay for. And then the bigger deal too is not having that fluctuating financial bill and there's no hidden costs. That's been the great part, because I think you've done projects, you do them at your house. You get estimate from a painter and you find out it's $300 more. When people start hearing there's no extra, look, this is what it is. How much you pay? We pay this much. How much did you pay extra? We didn't. We paid this much. It's been a fantastic project for us, and honestly, I can't tell you how well the community supported it too. You know, one, we did it environmentally too. We're a farming community. We got a chance to do some stuff for the environment. We looked into it. So fiscally, it was huge to us. Environmentally, it was huge to us. And educationally, it's been huge for our kids. Our kids ask questions. We've had speakers in several times about it. Lots of different reports done on it, so they understand, you know, why it's so important. So we're glad to say and proud to say there's so many others that are, I think there's now about 5-6 companies that have all just shown up and now doing solar panel. That's how quickly, you know, this industry is moving. So it's been a great one. And I won't deny the fact that every morning that I happen to come in, as you watch the sun come over the horizon over and you get to watch them all come to life, it's pretty cool. You got to come by sometime and check that out. It doesn't sound entertaining, Perry, but it is. I promise you. It's very entertaining.
Especially when you know you're working on a budget and everything. And
yes.
That's one thing you don't have to worry about.
No, it doesn't. Mrs. Popejoy, that's what she said. It is so nice knowing that when we go to budgeting for next year and heading towards this next, because this next legislative cycle to us is huge, but knowing that for the first time in the history of schools, we're going to be able to put a number in there, knowing that that's our electrical bill, and knowing that when we get done in December, that's the number we paid when we got done that year. We would have had to have found, like I said, $30,000 this year that we didn't budget for, that we're not going to have to pay now because we were locked into the rate. And I give a lot of credit to my central office. Go back to when I was out ill for a while. There was a lot of people that stepped up and really ran this project to keep it going, because there was some fear. And this is where I give people like Tony Cook and your wife Kathy and everybody credit, have started looking into this. People were starting to question whether or not schools should be able to do this. And there was some legislation that may take away some of the rebates you get. Now, because of what we've done and because of the good politicians we have in the area, they're all asking and realizing, wait, this is a great deal for schools. You get to save money, and we don't, meaning the state doesn't have to give them any to compensate for it. So it's been a real eye-opener, I think, for a lot of them, too, be able to come out and see what we've got going on.
Well, and I think one of the great things about it is what you were saying, too, is you know, you're so dependent on state government in situations, okay? So this is one way that you can do something to help yourself, okay?
Yes.
And maybe some of those dollars, you know, like you've been put in a spotlight here, and maybe some of the legislators, not your Hamilton County, but all over the state will start realizing, hey, you know, some of these smaller schools got some good ideas out there. Maybe we ought to listen, and maybe we ought to be able to help out a little bit more.
We've done the solar, which is projected to save us as a small school over the next 20 years anywhere from $5 to $6 million. I mean, that's not money. That's money we would have had to have found and paid. That's money that the way that school budgeting works, we would have had to have gotten help with. And now that's money we'll be able to do other projects with rather than pay utilities. You know, you're exactly right on that, too. One of the conversations I had with some of our local politicians and others, I know they're looking at, for example, preschool right now and how, but the reality of it is, and I think the majority of Hamilton County schools are now getting on board with this, we've gone out and started our own preschool. I mean, and I now have a preschool that started as something small, but it's tripled over just the last 2 years. And it's something we get to have our preschool teacher there working with the kindergarten teachers. They're in our building. They're covering their own cost. That's also another program that I keep saying, the fact that I understand there are areas that need assistance for preschool, but some of the talk on making it statewide concern me, because how does that affect the program that we've gone out and creatively done in a very positive way? And heck, we even go down, and now we have 3-year-olds, and actually we have babies in there too. I mean, it's part of our daycare. I get concerned about when those conversations come up, for those of us that have been very creative and worked very hard to put a program in, that could mess with that program in a hurry, because right now I think we're doing it right. I would rather, when our allotment of money, because I know the pot's only this big from the legislation. It is. So if you're going to give preschool, that means something's going to get lost. I mean, it's the way the world works in politics. So if they give some of that to preschool, for example, where am I having other monies, taken out of? So I think that's where, over the last couple of years, the leeway they've given us to be creative in different programs, such as solar, such as preschool, such as how we're offsetting with daycare, such as how we're doing our after-school programs. Let us keep doing those, and I think that's what they've heard, and they've seen us do it right. And that's where we get such great support from all those politicians around here that use us as examples. I keep getting asked, you mind if we use your name as an example? And I'm like, no. I mean, I'll come down there and preach as much as I can on the fact that the way we've done preschool, by not having to take out of that pot of money, is great theory for everybody to do it too.
And also, I think you told me one time, as far as the preschool, it's a tremendous advantage for you and your young teachers.
Yes. Well, the preschool to daycare rule, we put a daycare back together, and I think almost every school system in the county now has one too. What it does, yes, it allows me to come in, and rather than a teacher having to take so many days off because of daycare issues or whatever it is, we bring them to school. I think there was a Twitter picture going around the other day too, because even I went in and filled in it. Daycare, it's awesome. You want to come by and read to some 1-year-olds sometime. It's great. I highly recommend it. You want to talk about a stress reliever?
Oh, yeah.
Highly recommend it, Perry.
Yeah,
but what it does, it keeps our teachers there, so they have a place. And we've been asked that on several of them now, because you and I have talked about this too. The teacher shortage out there is real. I mean,
absolutely.
It is totally real. This year, I was just meeting with a friend of mine the other day, Superintendent Budd from over on the east side of the state. We were talking about how, and this being in athletics forever, 15 years ago, when there was a social studies and a basketball opening, middle school basketball, we would have got 50 applications. I mean, it would have been weeding through, hey, who do you know, try to figure it out. He was telling me the other day, or we were talking about the other day, that nowadays we'd be lucky to get 4. I mean, for a social studies job with a basketball coach tied to it in the greatest basketball state in the country. Trying to find high-quality math and science right now, we're basically, our new plan is we're going to the butlers and stuff and trying to choose those people before they even finish graduating, so we can say, look, the minute you graduate, we'll hire you at Sheridan if you want it. That's where school funding to us has been such a big issue, and finding ways to be creative of giving them daycare, because you're now even seeing schools that are giving signing bonuses, if you will, because you can't find, Noblesville, in all their great glory and how awesome they are here, struggled to find enough Spanish teachers. I know, because I saw the postings on the web forever. You'd take that as a language you think would be plentiful. It's not. And I keep saying all the day from my superintendent friends, and look, we're still looking for a chem teacher. We're still looking for a trig teacher. So that teacher shortage, we have to be creative in the ways that we are able to get teachers to come there and stay. So being able to offer them, come in, your kid will get preschool, they'll get daycare, after school care if needed, so you can help me coach, has been one of the ways we're trying to offset that. Because it is true.
And that's going on in every school, because I interviewed Coach Ballinger this week at Hamilton Heights, and I said, Coach, what time do you practice at and he told me, he said 7 o'clock. The boys practice at 7 o'clock, and I said, well, do you go home? He says, no, I'll stay here till 3:30. Mm-hmm. My son is in preschool at the elementary school at Heights, and they'll put him on the bus, bring him over here to high school, and I'll go to the front door and get him.
But Heights, much like Sheridan, much like Noblesville, what we did, though, was we were able to create those programs without the assistance of the state. And I mean that in the most positive way.
Absolutely.
Without having to take that, in hopes that, look, we've done this, so don't take from that pot for us. Give it out to us in other programs that we do need the assistance. And to me, that number one assistance is don't take it from preschool. Allow me to keep being able to pay teachers more and more and what they're worth for somebody like that, somebody like the teachers you have that go every morning at 6:30. They don't get out of there till 9 o'clock at night, and deserve as much as they can get in terms of pay. I'd much rather see it go towards that and our student fees per pupil, that the state allots us, than I would. And there are reasons that, don't get me wrong. It's kind of like my theory on, there are good charter schools. I mean, there are. And I always believe that whether it's charter, whether it's private, whether it's the other public schools, my job is to make sure I am the best product I can give. And if I'm the best product I can give at Sheridan and a charter school wants to start there and they're doing better than me, then that's my fault for not giving it the best program. So I'm one, too, who's never had an issue as the state looks to all these vouchers and other programs. The reality of it is that means I need to work harder to make more options for my people, my teachers, to make sure I am the best kid on the block when I look out at Sheridan.
And to do that, you have to have a good product.
Yes, and you got
to be flexible, because, as you well know, with me being much older than you, but still in the same situation.
5-6 years.
Yeah, right. But with the situation of the younger generation that we have coming up that are graduating from college, they have a totally different perspective of what they expect and what we had expected when we were that age. I mean, the convenience, those different type of things, and those things like you're talking about, preschools and stuff like that. I want to be a teacher, and I come there. Well, what am I going to do once I have a child? And you got answers to those.
Well, and we looked at, I even went to school knowing that when I went to study being a teacher, that was going to be my career. I mean, I was going into it. Now, that's where that other part of education, you have so many options for people out there that you get into teaching 2-3 years, and that's why the turnover is so big. You realize, wait, my salary's not very good, the hours are very long, and I can go do this job and work at home and many more half the time.
Yeah.
And get paid twice. I'm all about it, and they're used to that convenience. I made a comment the other day when I was speaking with some of the people in our town. One of the biggest differences that I think we need to start focusing on in Sheridan is the way that Westfield and Noblesville, and even now moving up north in Cicero, have put their just walking trails together. Because that's something else. When they move into town, you want to be able to go walk and do stuff. And the Monon has changed the whole ball game. The Monon and the one through Noblesville, I'm drawing a blank on that name.
Midland.
Yeah, thank you. Midland Trace has totally changed the ball game and what families look for. I'm one, I'll tell you that my house, I was paranoid about having the path going right behind my house. And my wife talked me that a lot. We're going to move there. It was the greatest thing that ever happened.
No, you didn't have a choice. Tell us.
Well, I didn't have a choice. It sounded good for a few minutes. I really tried to sell that. You're right, I did. I said, what? And I started to speak. She said, no.
I really don't need you.
Yes.
Even though I asked, I really don't care what you say.
But, those are the kind of things that in town, and with the help of several of our county people, where they finished the Monon up through Sheridan, is really driving more people up there to check out what's going on, because that's a beautiful little walking trail for about 3 miles.
Because, you really think about it, we're going to get up to the situation here with hooking Noblesville up with Cicero. We're going to run it to Westfield. So you're going to walk a little ways, get on the Monon, and you can walk to Sheridan.
I made the comment the other day that I can actually get out of my house, get on a trail here when this is all finished, and be able to hop on from my house here in Noblesville and ride my bike if I wanted to all the way down past Broad Ripple and never be interrupted on the whole path if I do that. And that's how intermixed we are. That's where, as we prepare for growth up in Sheridan with the schools and the town, we know that now by being connected, no one thinks about how big being connected by those trails mean to everybody.
And I think one of the great things that's going to help you in Sheridan now is, I think there was a lot of people in central Indiana that had big doubt about how Chatham Hills was going to go way out there.
Well, first of all,
between Sheridan and Westfield, and they're selling lots like hotcakes.
Mr. Hinkey's been a friend of mine for a long time, and I love the guy to death. And I knew that when he was putting that in there, how much that meant to the potential of us being up there north. Because I knew, you've been through it recently. It's 40 new homes are breaking ground and everything else too. But that's because people want to live in that area and they want to have the experience of being able to get on walking trails, easy access. You and I both know you can get on, drive straight to the airport and never stop anymore. Drive all the way there. It's great. those are the kind of things that as families start to build homes up in Sheridan that they want to hear that we have access to. And that's what we're working on, is trying to get that. I can always say, I can get you, once I get you in the doors at Sheridan, I can keep you there. I just got to get you in the doors to get up there, and then make sure you don't leave, because I can give you a product that you'll be happy with when you get done.
And I think the one great thing that, I've got to spend some time over there this fall, and I'll have to say you have an outstanding staff. I mean, when you walk in the door, Sheridan Schools, you feel like you're part of the community, and they treat you and talk to you. And because I went up when we were doing the stuff for Bud, and I went there 4 days in a row, and the gal at the front desk at the high school said, if you come back tomorrow, you have to buy lunch.
Yes.
I mean, so those are kind of things that
you can't teach nice.
No,
I mean, that's what we tell everybody. I can't teach you to be nice. I can teach you everything in the world about curriculum, school safety, discipline. I can teach you that. I can't teach you to be nice. And I think that's one of the things that when you're up in our place, and you know that from our buildings, our people take that to heart. They realize, you're right, you can't teach nice. And when you get in there and you feel welcome, and you leave Sheridan and you go back and do like you've done for us a million times to talk about what a great place it is, that's the number one selling point we have up there, is people walking away going, wow, what a great place to hang out. Those people are just nice. So we get down to it, you can't teach nice when you get finished.
Well, Dr. Mundy, we've kind of run out of time here. Jim's already stopped the clock. He froze the clock on us because he knows I wasn't going to stop with you.
We were on a roll. Sorry about that.
No problem. But I appreciate you coming by.
Thank you.
I got to get you back more often, because it's always a joy to talk to you. And you have so many great things going on over there at Sheridan. And next time when you come back, probably after the first of the year, we may want to talk a little bit about some of the budget constraints that you have, and some of the things that you're trying to accomplish down there with at the State House, because this is a budget year. This is a huge time for you guys, and we have a new school superintendent, that's coming aboard here, that's come up through the ranks. I mean, she's been a teacher, she's been a principal, she's been a superintendent, much like you, from a rural school, which is great, okay?
We have that, but more importantly is in that we also have many of the same politicians returning for us that have supported Sheridan Schools downtown, that I can't thank enough for all they do. Yeah. So we'll gladly do that. Now that I'm back healthy again, sir, I'll come back whenever you want me to.
I appreciate that. I kind of left you alone a little bit. I knew you had
I appreciate that.
I knew you had a battle on your hands. I've been there, so I knew that
the Lord gave me a bridge across. That was it. We crossed it.
And you crossed it. So we're proud you're feeling well, and we'll have you back after the first of the year, maybe February time frame, and we'll talk a little bit more, because they'll be rolling it down at the State House by then. They'll be
they'll be rolling. We'll be looking at physicals, and all our winter athletic teams will be undefeated.
All right, and you got basketball starting here, and all the winter sports.
So we'll come back in February and update you on all those.
All right, thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
See you next week. Actually, see you tomorrow, because I got Dr. Me tomorrow.
Yeah, so you got Beth tomorrow, won't you?
Yeah, but they send me questions. I can't do that.
Oh, they do? Really?
Oh, yeah.
Do other people send you? I wouldn't know. Marnie sends me questions that